All right, today we're tackling something, well, it's pretty out there. We're talking about the wealth gene prayer, and we're going to look at it through the eyes of a skeptic to figure out what's really going on here.
So let's just jump right in with the big question, right? Is wealth actually hidden in your DNA? I mean, could your bank account actually be linked to your genetic code? It sounds like total sci-fi, I know, but that's the wild idea at the very heart of this program we're exploring today.
And look, before you just rate this off as complete nonsense, you should know that this whole story actually kicks off with some super legit Nobel Prize-winning science. Yeah, for real. We're talking about a major breakthrough in the study of ancient DNA.
And that brings us to this number, 99%. What is that? Well, it's pretty mind-blowing. Scientists now think that a whopping 99% of us can trace our family tree all the way back through biblical lands. It connects almost all of us to this deep, shared history in a way we're just starting to wrap our heads around.
So what even is ancient DNA? Basically, it's the science of pulling DNA out of really, really old stuff, like ancient remains and artifacts. It's kind of like a biological time machine, you know? It lets us read our own genetic history book and see how we're all connected way, way back.
All right, so we've got the science backdrop. Now let's get to the juicy part, the really bold claim at the center of all this, the so-called wealth gene.
This whole theory comes from a biblical historian, a guy named Dr. Jonathan Sterling. He's the one who's drawing this line, connecting that brand new DNA research with the very old idea of wealth. Okay, so here's the core of what Dr. Sterling's program claims. It's basically three things. First, that super rich families, like the Rockefellers or the Rothschilds, they all have this one specific DNA marker in common. Second, this marker pretty much acts like a wealth gene. And third, and this is the big one for the rest of us, is that we all have this potential inside us. It's just asleep, dormant. Right about now, I'm guessing you're thinking, wait a second, a prayer that changes your DNA? How in the world is that supposed to work? It's a huge jump from science to something else. So let's dig into how they claim it's actually possible. So the key to unlocking this hidden potential, according to them, isn't a pill or some kind of magic spell. Nope. It's all about sound. And here's how they frame it. They call it this bold fusion of two totally different worlds. On one hand, you've got ancient tradition. We're talking sacred frequencies, supposedly from Jerusalem. And on the other hand, you've got modern science, specifically something called epigenetics and gene activation.
Okay, let's pause on epigenetics for a sec, because it's really the scientific hook for this entire idea. So epigenetics is all about how your environment, and even your behaviors, can tell your genes to turn on or off. The best analogy is this. Your DNA is the hardware in your computer, epigenetics is the software telling it what to do. So the theory here is that an outside influence, like sound waves, could maybe, just maybe, flip some of those genetic switches.
So, okay, that's the theory. The author we're following here decided, you know what? I'm going to try this thing. They went into it for 1 week as a total but very curious skeptic.
And what they reported back was pretty fascinating. On day 1, total skepticism, just listening to this audio track. But then, by day 3, they said they felt this huge shift in their mindset, calmer about money, less stressed. Then things started happening in the real world. Day 5, boom, an unexpected bonus from work. And by day 7, they landed a new freelance gig from someone they hadn't heard from in ages.
Which brings us to their final takeaway, in their own words. They said, and I'm quoting here, that it created a tangible flow of abundance I wasn't experiencing before. I mean, that's a pretty powerful statement, even if it is a personal feeling, right?
So, what's the final verdict? Is this all about some secret DNA marker, or is it more about your mindset? Let's get into the author's final breakdown of what they think was really going on.
First things first, the author makes it crystal clear. As of right now, there is zero scientific proof of an actual wealth gene. You can't go to a lab and get tested for it. So that core genetic claim, it's still just a claim.
So if it's not a gene, then what happened? Well, the author lands on this really interesting 3-step psychological theory. First, the sound frequencies start to kind of reprogram your subconscious. Second, that reprogramming shifts your whole outlook from one of lack to one of abundance. And then step 3, with that new positive mindset, you just naturally start seeing and grabbing opportunities that were probably there all along, but you just weren't open to them.
And that really leaves us with the million-dollar question, doesn't it? Is this thing a tool for changing your genes, or is it just a really effective tool for changing your mind? Is it unlocking some biological secret, or is it just reshaping your psychology, which then reshapes your reality? The author's journey seems to suggest that maybe, just maybe, there isn't a clear line between the two, and perhaps the most powerful change we can make isn't in ourselves at all, but in what we choose to believe.